Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and I'm here to keep going with my Organize With Me series. We're going to start tackling some of these layouts. Look how many layouts are just sitting there. There's just so many. And this is one clip I'm going to show you. This is some of them that I have to put away in albums. And now I'm going to pause and I'm going to show you a few more places where I keep some of these layouts that are not in albums. Okay, so there's some in there, like just sitting on the shelf. Then there's some that are in these iris trays, which they're a little bit safer because they're literally in some trays. But in this whole thing here, which is a recollection from Michael's, there's 3 of them that hold only layouts. So those last 3. So if I could put those in albums, then it would free 3 of my spaces. And this is another area of my room where I have those Michael trays with that you can put iris containers in. And let me count how many have just layouts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 of those could be freed up and I could actually use them, to put scrapbooking things in instead of finished layouts. Okay, so this is all the layouts that I had on my desk over there. This is ridiculous. That's not even, I wouldn't say that's even half of them that are not in albums. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to divide them in piles of layouts that are journaled on and then the ones that are not journaled on, because I need to journal on them before I put them away. Now I have to say, for the last few years, I've tried to say, oh, I'm going to journal on 10 pages a week. That just doesn't work. So I think what I'm going to do is, by making it a project, and then I'm going to be working on this a couple times a week and dedicate like an hour or 2 every time that I work on it. My goal is to get all those that I showed you right under here. Right under here is where I had 10 of those iris trays that were full of pages. And then there's some over there and there's some more over there. So they need to be in albums. One, it's going to free up a lot of room in my scrap room, because these are taken up, like these right here, for example, they were taking up a whole desk that I couldn't use. And another one of my goals this year is I want to start using my silhouette, and these were sitting right in front of my silhouette. So I need to free that up so that I can clear up that desk and make up some more room, because, like I said, I don't want to buy any more stuff to bring in my room. But what I would like to do is really organize my room. So now I'm going to put you on fast forward. And for now, all I'm going to do is divide them, whether they are journaled or whether they're not. And then I'll let you know during the voiceover part of this how exactly I'm going to tackle, putting them into albums and that kind of stuff. So like I said, the first thing I did was I went through all those layouts, and that was actually a good amount. There was probably between 100 and 125 layouts. I'm guessing maybe there was more than that, but yeah, it looks like there might be more than that. Maybe 150 layouts, 175, but it was a good amount. And at this point, I'm making 2 piles, the journaled and not journaled, or layouts that I'm like, yeah, there's no room to journal on this, and it goes with a specific date, like a trip or something like that. And there's going to be enough journaling on those other layouts, and I'm okay with that one not having journal. Especially if, my page is all done and there's no specific place that is dedicated to journaling, then I'm okay with not putting any journaling on it. At first, I was a little worried because the pile that had no journaling seemed to be growing a whole lot faster than the pile that had journaling. But you'll see at the very end, The pile non-journaled is a little bigger than the pile that is journaled, but it's not that much that I was like, oh my goodness, you know, there's a lot, way more. Like I didn't have 10 journal and like 75 or 100 that were not journal. So I was really happy with the amount that I did have that were journal. As you can see, all the ones right here, they're all journal. I was like, yes, because the pile is getting closer and closer to being equal. And every year I make it one of my goals to journal on the layouts as I'm making them. And, you know, to tell you the truth, I'll probably make that a goal again this year, because at least I find that the first 2 or 3 months of the year, I journal a lot on my layouts, and then it kind of goes on the wayside. My biggest thing is I find that I need to journal all at once. I find it hard journaling on just one layout. The way I do it for my page kits when I go to a crop is, you know, once I decide all the photos for all my page kits, then I sit there and I journal for all 30 layouts. So usually when I go to a crop, all those layouts are all journaled. Now, if you've noticed throughout me separating the pages, I've showed you a few of the layouts. A lot of these were from my classes that I give, and I get a lot of questions about where can they find the classes. It's always linked in the description box below, and it says for more information on my classes, and then you just click on that. I think I have probably 15 of them, different classes, and so I'm showing you some of my favorites as I'm going through. I'm like, oh yeah, that layout, I really loved it. And it's funny because these are all layouts, all those layouts are all layouts that I did in 2019. So I did a ton of layouts in 2019. I think I'm above 150. And I mean, those pages were all done in the last year. And still, when I look at them, I'm like, oh yeah, like that's so cool. And another thing, the reason that I want to start putting these layouts into my albums is in February I plan on getting a new calic for my living room, the 5x5 one, and I'm going to be putting my layouts all downstairs. And of course I want them to be in albums so that they're easier to look through. So that is the process that I'm doing right now, getting them into albums so that way they can be downstairs where everyone can view them. So not only will it free up all those iris containers, but I have all my albums upstairs now, so it'll free all that up too. So now I'm going to come to you live for a couple minutes. Okay, so now I've got them divided by journaled and not journaled. I took the not journal pile away because I think this pile is going to be easier to put into albums. So I want to feel like I've accomplished something. So I'm going to start with the easier pile. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide them by year or event, because I've noticed as I was separating them, there was a lot from my daughter's wedding, there was a lot from my trips and summer, and so I'm going to divide them by either the trip or event or year, and then I'll go from there. So I'm going to put you on fast forward again. We'll make some different piles, and at some point I might even grab some little pieces of scraps of paper and just put the year, and then I'll have a place to put the layouts. And another thing I'm going to grab is some ink, some black ink, and a date stamper, because I've noticed that a lot of these were not, the year wasn't on it. So I want to at least put the year on the layout, because that is one of my biggest pet peeve. Is for some reason when I do the layout, I remember what year the picture was taken. But 6 months later, I can look at the finished layout and go, I don't remember when that was. So I want to make sure that I stamp the layout, because I know my daughter got married in 2018. So any layout that's doesn't have the year, I'm going to put the year on it. Although it's going to be in the same album, but it's just a good habit that I want to get into is when I make the layout, even if I don't journal right away, at least try to put the date on it right away. Okay, so for the next step, I went and got some black ink. I got date stamper. I got a couple because some of them, they stop at a certain year, like the Chamel one, I think it stops at 2018. And of course, I got layouts that are 2019. And the reason I want that really close to me is as I'm going through these layouts, if I see that the date is not on it, I'm going to take the couple seconds it's going to take me to just, usually I don't even care about the specific date. I just like the month and the year on my layouts, because most of the time, unless it's like a birthday or something like that, most of the time I don't remember what day it was, and that's just fine. Then I also grabbed a little pad of paper, and I decided that I was only going to divide it in years because I am working on so many things right now. I'm still working on my December daily. I'm still working on the making page kits. Now, preparing the kits are all done, but now I got to start making layouts. And I'm working on my mini album for all the books I read in 2019. And now I'm working on organizing, my scrap room. So I have so many things going on that my desk, I cleaned up that little area right there just so I could do, start putting some layouts away. But my desk it's got piles of stuff that I'm working on. So I didn't have room on my desk to make a pile for my daughter's wedding and then other things that happened in 2018. So I decided to just do a pile for 2018, a pile for 2000, I think there was 16, 17, 18, and 19. And then that way I don't have to keep remembering, is that 2016? Is that 2017? I just have a little piece of paper that the year's written down, and then I just can quickly go through all the layouts and divide them into piles. So I filmed the entire thing, and my goal for that was to see how long it took me to go through this pile of layouts. Now remember, that's only half of them, because when I was done, half of the layouts were journal and half weren't. So this is all the journaled layouts. So it took me 50 minutes just to go through all the layouts and separate them by year. And then I have my albums right behind me. It's one recollection down, so you can't see it. It's just below where the camera can see. But I have all my albums there. And most of them on the spine, I have, when I start an album, I put the year on it, so I can quickly go to the album that I need and pick it up. Now, I knew I had an album already started for my trip to New York, and I knew, like, in the places where I keep my albums, I'm running out of space. That's the other reason why I want to get one of those Calyx and move all my albums downstairs, because I'm running out of room where I can put my albums. So this way it'll give me lots of room to put my albums, and it's also somewhere where people can go through them. Right now they're upstairs. Nobody comes upstairs to get the albums. So if they're downstairs, maybe once in a while we can go through them. And the space where my albums are right now, my goal is, I have like one of those wire racks where I have all my cardstock, and I'm kind of over it. I'm not liking it. It's hard to go through the cardstock because, you have 200 sheets of cardstock, all one on top of the other. It makes it hard to go through it. But this here where my albums are, it's vertical. So then it'll be easier to go through my cardstock. So I plan on moving all my cardstock over to this, and that'll be part of my organize with me. And it's probably just going to happen maybe in March or April, because I plan on getting the Calyx thing in February. Hopefully they have some in stock. The last time I tried to buy one, it wasn't in stock, but hopefully this time it'll be in stock. And then I can move my albums downstairs and move my cardstock over to that. And then I might get rid of that wire thing. I'd love to put a door on my scrap room. You just come from downstairs and you go up the stairs and you're in my scrap room. There's no door. So my goal is, if I can move stuff over and have place that we can put a door, that would be amazing. And then that way, when I want to come upstairs and film, I don't have to worry if anybody's downstairs and that you guys can hear everything that's going on downstairs, and it's too loud. So, my whole organizing thing, that is the ultimate goal, is to get a door on my scrap room so I can do more lives. I don't have to worry, if there's somebody home, that I can only do it when there's nobody home. So now I'm at the spot where I've divided them by year, and now this is my album for, I believe this might be my trip maybe, and so I'm going through and finding all the layouts that were in 2019 that was trip related. Now I'm going to notice as soon as I start with another year, I'm like, oh, that's one for the trip. So you'll see me pulling that album again and putting that layout that I forgot. But this goes so quickly. Like once you've determined what year everything is and you put them in pile, then you just grab your albums and start putting away. Now, one thing that I did to prepare for this is every time I saw albums at Michael's when they were on sale, that you could either get them for 50% off or buy one get one free, I would get extra albums. Another thing that I did was, you're going to keep seeing me pulling this album that has extra page protectors. I would buy page protectors every time that I would put in a Stampin' Up! Order, or whenever I'd go to Michael's and if their page protectors were on sale, I would buy some page protectors, because when you don't put away layouts for that long and then you start putting layouts away, that can be a big expense, buying the albums and buying the page protectors. So those albums they're either $30 or $40. I think they're $40, and that's why I wait till they're 50% and then I get them for $20. And then the page protectors too, they're not that cheap. So if you can split the cost between quite a few months, then it makes it so that it's way more affordable. So what I do is I put all my extra page protectors in one album, so then I know exactly where they are. So I think probably this week or next week, I'll be going to Michael's again and seeing, if I have a 50% off coupon, maybe buy one more album, because as I was doing this, I used 2 new albums already, and my 2016 album was full. I had to start another one, and my 2018 album, I put all the layouts in it, but when I tried to put it where it belongs, I couldn't even fit it all the way. Another thing that you should have on hand when you're putting layouts away like this is some glue. This was a layout that I did of Mason, how much he loves hockey, and the title is Hockey, Eat, Sleep, Repeat. And some of the letters, I thought I had glued them down, but because I'm using the tiny that just puts out a little bit of glue, I think there wasn't enough, so some of the letters were coming off, so I just glued them down. Now, a lot of people ask me, I've asked me over the years, Nicole, when you do layouts, do you worry, so that the left page matches the right page? Absolutely not. I don't worry about that. And this is why, as I was putting these layouts away, I went through it and I would say, oh, these 2 are both greens. I'll put them side by side. Another thing that I didn't do this time around was I didn't put them in order of month. At this point, if they're in the album, I'm super happy. Someday later on, if I'm super bored and once they're downstairs and maybe while we're watching TV, I can go through the albums and pick a year, let's say 2016, pull them out, pull all the layouts out, then divide them by month, and then put them back in the album. But for right now, at this point, I'm feeling overwhelmed by how many I have to do. So I'm just going to worry about getting them journaled on and at least put in an album in the right year. So this part of, my organizing my scrap room, this is not something that I know that, I'm going to get done this week. There's no way I'm going to get done this week. This is possibly, quite a few months, even probably close to 6 months project, because I don't plan on, doing it daily, maybe twice a week until it's done. So maybe it'll be less than 6 months. Well, I'll give myself 4 months. So hopefully by April, I'll have this part done. The great thing is I started with the layouts that were on top of my desk. So that big pile was already cut in half. Like I did half of them today, which is awesome. Now I know the next part is going to take me a little longer. And I'm just showing you here, I'll come back to that, but I'm just showing you that this is going to be my daughter's wedding album. So there's a little card that comes on the spine, and I'm using some stamps and I'm just putting wedding. I'm not putting the year. And I have to tell you, the first time didn't work out so great. So I'm going to be doing that again on the back side. But that's the beauty of this, is that you get 2 shots. And even if I would have messed the back side, I could have went and cut another piece of cardstock and just did it again. Now, thankfully, I was able to do it in 2 shots. But to go back to what I was saying was I already cut that pile down to half. Now I know that the second pile is going to take me more than the hour and a half that I put today. Like it was probably closer to an hour and 10 minutes by the time I got everything organized. It took me about 50 minutes just to separate them in year and then put them in albums. But then, when also dividing them by journal and not journal. So about an hour and 15 minutes. Now, what I think next time what I'm going to do is when I take that pile, I'll divide it into years right away. And then hopefully, there's going to be a lot of the same event. And then when I start journaling, the journaling will come easier to me because it's all things that is going to be related to the same thing. Now, I'm not going to be filming everything. This will be the only video that you see of me working on it. I just wanted to show you how I'm going to tackle it. But maybe once I'm done, I can show you how everything looks and show you all those empty containers. But that's it. That's going to complete this Organize with me. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you're enjoying these videos, if you wouldn't mind, give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.